What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is a special beer review, and that's because it's the 50th beer review here on the Beer PaTroll. So, you know, as a beer tuber, whenever you hit a reviewing milestone, you're supposed to review something big, epic, right? That's what you're supposed to do. Maybe you've been eyeing a $25 or $30 bottle of beer on the shelf at your local bottle shop, and you're like, hey, let me splurge. I want to do a special beer review for whatever milestone it is. Maybe you want to dive into your cellar and pull out that 5-year-old barrel-aged behemoth that you've been dreaming about drinking since you bought it, but you've been waiting for the perfect occasion. That is this occasion. Here's the thing. If there's one thing that you expect from my channel, it is pure and utter disappointment. And today, I'm not going to disappoint you guys, and that's because the beer I'm reviewing today comes from the Founders Brewing Company, and they're out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and this is their porter. So this is an American porter, comes in at 6.5% alcohol by volume and 45 IBUs, and to me, this is the quintessential shelfie porter. And what I mean by that is this beer, if you get distribution from the Founders Brewing Company, at this point they're in, I don't know how many countries and almost every single state in the US, but if you get Founders, this beer, you can get it. It's readily available, it's reasonably priced, and it's damn good. Now, when I say American porter, I'm not talking adjunct-laden American porters, I'm not talking imperial American porters, I'm not even talking barrel-aged American porters. I'm talking water, malts, hops, and yeast. And that's it. And I feel this beer is one of the best. Now, is it the best American porter? Well, beer is subjective, as we all know. And if I asked you guys to give me a top 5 or top 10 list of your favorite American porters, I'm sure they would all be different. For me, though, this beer is definitely in the running. Some others that I thoroughly enjoy would be Anchor Porter, of course. It was the first beer I ever reviewed on my channel, and the beer that got me into craft beer. But I would also say Great Lakes Edmund Fitzgerald Porter is fantastic. Deschutes Black Butte is another great one. Even Smutty Nose, they're going through their whole, they were put up for auction recently, and I still think they're going to be going. But yeah, their Robust Porter is a fantastic American porter as well. But I don't know if this one is the best, but this is certainly a beer that every single time I buy it and drink it, I say to myself, Joe, why don't you drink this one more often? Why don't you always have at least a bottle or two in your fridge? I know the answer to that, and the answer to that is, as a craft beer enthusiast and now a beer tuber, I'm always looking for the latest and greatest beer to review and drink, and doesn't always mean that those beers are awesome. It just means that I don't go back to the classics and staples as often as I would like. So hopefully, in the near future, I'm going to start drinking some of these older beers, some of these beers that you guys can get, because that's one thing that's been lacking on my channel, so I need to correct that. But anyway, let's get this let's get this beer into the glass and see what we got going on. As I do that, I want to point out that this beer, at the time of review, is 7 months old. It was bottled on 12/18/17, and I don't think I've ever had this beer that old. Now, I mention that because a couple buddies of mine, one being a fellow beer tuber, Rod over at Rod J Beer Ventures, another one being a friend of mine, but a guy that comments a lot on my videos and is a frequent viewer, Earth. Rod reviewed this beer a couple weeks ago on his channel, and Earth talked about how this beer he enjoys with 6 months to a year on it. I think the oldest I've had this is maybe like 3 months old. He said that he always gets a metallic tinge to this beer when it's relatively fresh, and as it gets older, it gets smoother. I never got that metallic tinge, but I just wanted to point that out because this is a 7-month-old Founders Porter, and I've never had one this old. So anyway, let's get it into the Founders Brewing. This is actually a KBS glass, but it says Founders Brewing Company on back, so we're just gonna rock and roll with it. Beautiful. Beautiful pour every time from this beer. Well, at least in my opinion. A little bit of hair up here, baby. Take that off. So yeah, this pours out. Put this over to the side. What are we going to do with the Founders? We'll just put the Founders over there like that. Yeah. So this pours out every single time. Like I said, it looks beautiful. It has this deep, like almost Coca-Cola into brown color. It's not black. It's not opaque black. It has this deep brown color. About a finger of a very creamy and luscious looking mocha colored head. It has, oh my God, it's so creamy. Like this almost pours out like a nitro beer in terms of the head, and it retains the head usually quite well. It's a fantastic looking beer. The appearance of this beer, spot on. Anyway, let's get a nose on this one. So, all I have to say about this beer is actually a lot. This beer has an array of aromas. It is super complex. It's only 6.5%. It doesn't have a bunch of stuff going on. It just has malt and hops and, you know, the yeast and just water. It's just a plain old, you know, the 4 ingredients. That's all there is. And it's so complex in the nose. There's dark chocolate, milk chocolate, baker's chocolate. There's almost like this spun sugar, you know, caramel and toffee vibes. Almost like a creme brulee, obviously not as sweet as that, but just has like this, you know, caramel toffee, almost a slight vanilla tinge to it. There's a bit of coffee as well. There's a slight earthiness here too, probably coming from the hops that kind of, you know, pull back on that sweetness a bit, because the sweetness of this beer would be exceptionally high if it didn't have that hop character. And there's one thing in this aroma that I always get out of this beer. And this is where it kind of separates it from the pack for me. Yeah, it just has this brownie batter vibe to it. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have had brownie batter out there, whether as a kid you snuck some from mom or she gave you a little bit left over when she was making brownies. When you have brownie batter, it's not excessively sweet, at least I don't think so, but it has a rich, decadent, fudgy character to it. And that's what I get from this. Not necessarily an overbearing sensation of sweetness, but more of just like, it's rich, it's thick, it's decadent, it's robust, for lack of a better word. It just smells dynamite. Yeah, even maybe like a small hint of like a darker red fruit. You know what? I need to get into this one. So cheers, everyone. Here's to the 50 beers that I have reviewed on my channel, and hopefully a lot more. See what this one has to offer. Yeah. The aroma just carries over into the taste. There's a lot of chocolate going on. There's a lot of more sweeter milk chocolate with a little bit of dark chocolate. Maybe the baker's chocolate isn't coming through as much as it was on the nose, but that spun sugar is there. Caramel toffee, slight, you know, maybe not the vanilla so much, more caramel toffee. But then there's that, you know, the nice coffee component too, maybe a little bit bigger on the palate. The earthiness is definitely there on the finish, a lingering earthiness, and it's nice because, like I said, in the nose, it kind of fights off that sweetness. If this was just sweet, sweet, sweet through the palate, you couldn't drink a lot of these. But because there's that lingering earthy note, makes it infinitely more drinkable. And again, that brownie batter is here. Not as big in this one, and maybe because it is, you know, 7 months old, but I still get that brownie batter character, the rich, decadent, fudgy component to it. It just drinks so well. The body, straight up medium bodied at 6.5%, nothing wrong with it, although someone like Paul over at PA Brewing would say it's a bit thin, because he says everything's a bit thin. If it's not tar, doesn't matter, it's thin. And it does have that luscious, creamy, velvety, smooth mouthfeel to it. This is, now I'm not going to say you could mistake this for a nitro beer, because that'd be just me lying and pulling things, you know, out of thin air, but this is as close as you can get to nitro without it being nitro. Yeah, it's so smooth. It's so velvety smooth. It's fantastic. There's not much more to say about this one other than this is a great beer. As far as ratings go, I don't rate the style on my channel. If you guys have watched any of my reviews, you know that. Now, I do say that with the knowledge of I have reviewed a couple beers this style to kind of get my point across, and I'm gonna do that again for this beer. If I was to rate this a straight American porter style, this would be a world-class American porter for me. This would be a 5 out of 5 if you rate on a 10-point scale, 10 out of 10. If you rate on a 100-point scale, it'd be in the 98, 99, 100 range. This is a 5 out of 5 beer all day, every day for an American porter. My personal palate's always different, right? It's always going to be a bit different. That said, this is still close to world-class range for me personally. Ratings don't matter. My ratings certainly don't matter, especially for you, but I will say this. This is drinking like a 4.5 out of 5 beer. A little bit fresher. It's about 4.75 out of 5. Regardless, this is a fucking awesome beer. If you have never had this beer and you get Founders in your area, you owe it to yourself to pick this up. Not because I'm telling you to do so, but because it is an awesome beer that just doesn't get the love that I feel it deserves. Now again, beer is subjective, and I'm sure there's some of you out there that probably don't care for this beer, or just, whatever. It's a solid porter, and I get that. I still feel like this beer should be tried by as many people as humanly possible because it's that good of a beer, in my opinion. Whatever, my opinion's usually wrong, but whatever, it's still my opinion. Anyway, I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting the channel. I want to thank each and every one of you for checking out my videos. Without you guys, commenting on all my reviews and viewing and liking and the whole nine, I'd still be doing this because, I just like reviewing beer, but it makes it a lot more fun, a lot more interesting, and I truly do appreciate it. So thank you very much. If you want to like, comment, and subscribe for this video, I'm on board. If you guys want to hit the notification bell to be updated for, whenever I post my content, whatever goes live, gives you an update, that's cool too. Regardless, I appreciate you stopping by. Another beer review here on the Beer PaTroll. Until the next one, cheers.